My name is Dan Richey. I am the president and CEO of Riverfront Packing Company. The packing industry is one that really revolves around having volume. You have to have the volume. It's a volume game. And as volumes diminished, certain packing houses were struggling. All of us were. And we've collaborated with Mike Garavaglia and the Rogers family and Rusty and Sid Banak and come together, and we're packing all three of our company's fruit under the roof of Riverfront Packing in a very collaborative way. We had the advent of citrus canker. Part of the citrus canker protocol to survive was to burn trees that were infected. And they determined trees were infected by finding a pencil point dot of a citrus canker lesion on one leaf. And we took a 1,900-foot radius from that one dot or one canker lesion on a leaf and burned every tree within that 1,900-foot radius. That was the only way that it was determined that we could eradicate citrus canker. So in that eradication effort, we burned thousands of acres of grove to the point that we were actually eliminating the industry along with eliminating citrus canker. The hurricanes of 2004, 2005 caused citrus canker to spread beyond ever being able to eradicate it. So it became endemic. When it became endemic, at that point, we just decided to stop the eradication program. So that was one piece of it. That was step one. The hurricanes obviously also imposed upon us a loss of fruit and a loss of trees. There was some death, primarily everything along the river. When we had the salt water come up from the river, it killed those trees. So you had that. You had the eradication program, you had the hurricanes, and then you had urban encroachment. I mean, Riverfront Packing is sitting here on the corner of US 1 and 49th Street for a reason. The family owned everything from here to the river. And this is Riverfront Groves originally. Grand Harbor was all citrus. It was all groves. Orchid Island and Windsor was all groves, with the Lear and the Michael family over there. Now there is not a grove, a viable commercial grove east of I-95, where there used to be plenty of groves east of I-95. They're just not here anymore. And then we had citrus greening, and citrus greening is the real issue. That's the real deal. We're really struggling with that. When I was chairman of the Citrus Commission in the late 90s, we had 60 million boxes of grapefruit grown in the state of Florida. A box is 85 pounds, to give you a sense of size. Today we have 4.5 million. So we have gone from 60 million to 4.5 million boxes of grapefruit. So clearly the infrastructure that was built for 60 million boxes has collapsed, and there's only a few of us surviving to pack this volume of fruit that we have. Greening is detrimental to grapefruit primarily because grapefruit is most susceptible to the disease. This is a bacterial disease that, in essence, to keep it simple, it is a clogging of the main artery of the tree. What happens is the bacteria gets into what we call the phloem, which is the area where you have photosynthesis and the roots and the exchange of the nutrients. It chokes it off. So the roots start to die back first, and then you see the symptoms in the tree that are indicative of the disease. That is another disease that is clearly endemic. It is spread by an Asian citrus psyllid, a small insect. It carries the bacteria, it feeds on the leaf, it flies to the next leaf on the next tree and feeds on that leaf, and there are a bazillion Asian citrus psyllids. We cannot control them. So they're all infected, they all have the bacteria, and every tree, arguably every grove in the state of Florida, is infected with greening. It's just a matter of time, arguably, that the tree will eventually die. We are doing all we can in therapeutic means to try to sustain this fraternity of trees while we look at some new combinations of rootstocks and varieties that seem to be resistant to the disease. Lemons, certain types of oranges, certain type of mandarin oranges. Grapefruit, we don't really have an answer. There is one variety within the grapefruit scheme of things, star rubies, that seem to be resistant to the disease. We have no idea why. There's no explanation for it, but we're working with those to replant and to try to continue to have a viable industry. And we will survive. This industry is never going to be what it was in my lifetime, but it will still be here. It'll just be different. Not unlike a lot of things in the world. This industry was one of the major stools here. I mean, when you think about the economy of Indian River County, and you think about the year that Piper was on strike, baseball was on strike and we had a freeze. That spring was pretty quiet around here. And you think about the icons in this community that were related to the citrus industry, you know, starting from the north, the Kennedy family, the Ryle family, the Graves family, the Green family, Smith family, the Barnes family, the Sextons, the Richardson family, the list goes on and on and on. I probably missed somebody of very high importance, but those families were some of the most giving families in this community when there was no other industry here. The United Way still is supported by those of us that are still in the industry. The Education Foundation, Dan Richardson, I think, was one of the starters of that. So you look back at the history of this community and the not my generation, the generation before me, that really gave back to this community, and the firm leg on the stool of our economy was citrus. It was really centered around citrus. That's not the case anymore. We've got diversity, we've got a lot of home building, we've got tourism, we've got different things going on that have stepped in to fill that void, but those of us that are still here feel very much a sincere desire to continue our role as contributors to the community in any way that we can.